So when you arrive, say hi, put a comment or a love heart in, or just put hi, I suppose. But yeah, we're going out live on the Facebook Wiccan Warriors page, the YouTube Wiccan Warriors page, and my Twitter.
Oh. So in theory, loads and loads and loads of people will be watching then.
Could be.
Or not.
Or it could just be our #1 fan.
It could be. We don't know.
So yeah, when you arrive, just let us know. But what we're going to talk about tonight is healing and meditation. Now, I don't want to get into this being quite a technical thing, because I don't regard myself as a healer as such, but it seemed quite poignant.
Well, you are a healer. You're a Reiki master. So
yeah, I know, but that's not at the forefront of when I want to help somebody. That's not how I think, oh, I could heal them.
Okay.
That the kind of physical, I tend to work more on the psychological side of things. I nearly said customers then.
I can't see what that says.
Justin, hello. Is this about Jesus?
No.
Is what about Jesus?
Talking about healing.
No, well, I wasn't going to talk about it from a biblical sense, but I'm happy to debate it with you if you wish to stay.
It's a little bit aggressive.
No, not at all. All forms of healing. I mean, I've written a list here, but I'm happy to talk to anybody about their forms of healing.
Okay. So where do you want to start?
At the beginning.
At the very
Well,
beginning.
before we get into that, to be fair, let's just kind of do a quick little debrief of the week.
Oh, let's not.
It's been I don't know what your weeks have been like, folks, but I'd sum this week, last week up as shit.
I was going to say heavy.
No, just utter shit.
It's been a very difficult couple of weeks.
Yeah. So hence why I said it's quite poignant to sort of pick a topic. But if you've not joined us before, we are the Wiccan Warriors. My name's Alistair, and as Penny said, yeah, I'm a Reiki master. I'm also a tarot life coach, and a mediumistic life coach. And to my left is the gorgeous Penny, my goddess.
I love
Go on, I'll have a drink of coffee while you reel off all your CVs.
I'm not going to reel everything off.
Oh, okay, fair enough then. Do one of them little modest introductions.
Okay. So my name's Penny. I'm an empath. I'm a doula. I'm a dowser. I'm a Reiki master teacher. I'm an advanced master herbalist. And some other stuff.
Yeah, and the idea is that we get together every single Sunday at 8 o'clock, and we just kind of pick a topic, and we'll start talking about it. Sometimes we'll finish on the same topic, sometimes we don't.
No, sometimes it's quite likely that we'll go off on full tangent to something completely different.
Yeah.
But the intention is to follow the topic.
So if you've got questions about healing, different forms of healing, or suggestions, what worked for you, then by all means, pop a comment in there. And as always, because it's customary, because it's the social media thing, please like, share, subscribe, comment, and all that. Indeed. Social media jazz stuff.
So do we have a fixed starting point, or shall I start?
I wrote a list, but there was no particular, well, it came out of my head, so there was never going to be any particular rhyme or reason to it.
Okay.
So no, yeah, go on, crack on, because I've been speaking for too long now.
Well, I think that most days. No, I was just thinking where to start. So the question about, is this about Jesus? Actually, religion in itself and healing isn't on our list. It wasn't something that we considered. We looked more from the spiritual belief system rather than the religious belief system. So my first thought, when you talk about healing, actually, is the likes of Harry Edwards. If anybody knows who Harry Edwards is, Harry Edwards was a really well-known spiritual healer. He was in his early 80s when he died. He was a healer for almost 40 years, extremely well known. There is now a Harry Edwards healing sanctuary, which has been popular, I believe, for about 60 years.
Crumbs.
Yeah, it's huge. And he came from the spiritual standpoint, the spiritualism standpoint,
Right.
in that he went to a spiritualist church, I believe, and the medium that was leading the meeting said, "You have healing ability, you need to share that ability with others."
Ooh. And it weren't just a line that sometimes they
And
tell you.
so he did. He went off and he did that, and he professed to have healed thousands of people, and had a absolutely, and still has an absolutely huge following, and a very close connection to spiritualism. He believed that he channeled famous scientists to assist with the healing.
Think that's cool. I like that. So that's his book.
That's one of his many books, The Power of Healing. There's actually quite a lot of Harry Edwards books, because he was a prolific healer.
Fair enough.
And really well known.
I thought you were going to start. I thought we'd start on the same page, but we didn't. You kind of did. It would depends what you're healing. I thought you were going to say from that question there as kind of as a spiritual healing, if you kind of feel spiritually lost, or as opposed to I've got a sore leg or a headache. Do you know what I mean? I thought you were going to do that. With the fact that was a kind of a spiritual question, I thought we were going to, because there's a difference between spiritual healing, sort of healing yourself spiritually.
That's about faith and hope and belief in something bigger than you, healing you outside of yourself.
Yeah, that doesn't necessarily have to be God or Jesus. It could just be the big white light of Reiki. It doesn't. Yes. It depends on how you, the kind of Pictionary side of things. No, you know what I mean, though.
Okay.
All I'm thinking is, if you've got a broken ankle, there's no point sort of going, "Oh, I'm going to put a crystal on this; it's going to heal it." Any rational logic, that's not going to work. So there's extremes to this.
There is extremes to this. So certainly with Reiki, you advise somebody, if they're on a course of medication, to stay on their course of medication, to continue to follow physical medicine, and use the healing in conjunction with that to support it, rather than I'm going to heal you, you don't need any of that. There are healers out there that believe that you should abandon everything else and focus purely on the treatment that they're giving you, the healing treatment that they're giving you.
I bet there's some paperwork to sign for that.
Indeed. I had the conversation today about homeopathy and the use of homeopathy for healing.
Explain that more for our viewers.
So my understanding of homeopathy is that you're using natural things like herbs and plants, things like that, but they are in a massively diluted form. But a lot of what goes into that is belief. Trust that it is going to work for you.
Okay, the placebo effect.
Which I also said today, there is an element of that. And so moving sideways. Okay. Then we have another person I'm a huge fan of, Dr. David Hamilton. How your mind can heal your body. And he was a scientist, chemist, who was part of the system for creating drugs to heal people.
Right.
And realised that actually your brain can do so much that do you need the drugs?
Well, that's what I was going to say, is that the placebo effect, is that a bad thing?
No.
I don't think the placebo effect, we've given it this word that it's, but we've tricked you because it wasn't our drug. Well, no, actually, what I've done is prove that my brain is more powerful than your medicine.
Yes.
But I think when they look at it and go, it's just the placebo, they purposely, the way that they say it, poo-poo it. Whereas you actually sort of go, hang on a minute, that means the person's mind was mightier than the medicine.
Yeah, I think that's kind of out of context of what the placebo effect is. The placebo effect's about, if we're going to make people take this chemical, is this chemical doing anything? Is it going to change somebody's physiology to make them well? And if the power of the mind does that better than the medicine, then the medicine doesn't work. That's the placebo part of it. And how sick was that person in the first place? Or how much did their brain convince them that they were unwell?
Okay, so from our perspective,
if you don't feel well and you have a bit of a cold or you feel a little bit run down, and then the more that you think about I feel rubbish, the more rubbish you feel. And if people say, how do you feel? Oh, I feel really rubbish. The more you say it, the more you convince yourself that you feel unwell, the more unwell you become. Your body reacts to your thoughts.
I'd agree with that. Oh, Marion's just arrived.
So in the flip of that, if that's the case and you can make yourself feel unwell, you can make yourself feel well, which is the premise of what David Hamilton talks about. Dr. David Hamilton, not the politician. David Hamilton. I should have defined that in the beginning.
Yes, David Hamilton. So yeah, evening, Marion. Marion's actually watching us on the YouTube.
Hi, Marion. Oh,
Marion has progressed to the
she's
YouTube.
on the YouTube.
So yeah, what do you guys think? I think some people are actually just joining us now. We're 14 minutes in, but they're arriving late. It's fine. Never mind, eh?
Just got the kids to bed because they're back at school tomorrow.
But I didn't, like I said to you before we did this, I didn't want this to be a real technical thing where we start going, well, you should have this kind of fragrance for that and that kind of herb for this.
Delving into the details of each thing. We're just going to light touch overview. What are the different forms of healing?
Well, what do you do? What do you do when you feel a bit shit and you kind of feel that kind of rundown? You think, do you know what? I need to kind of bolster myself up, or I need to make myself feel better. What do you do to make yourself feel better?
What do I do to give myself a kick in the pants to feel better? Is I use meditation.
Okay.
And people think that meditation is sitting in a particular pose, and it's
For a lot, it is
the part of meditation. It isn't. Meditation can be done in many different ways. I quite like the
Hey, Anna.
hey Anna, the zoning out of what is around me, closing off what is around me, focusing internally. If something hurts, and don't get me wrong, I in the past was on a lot of medication, and on reflection, now being on none, I question how much of that is that I convinced myself that I was unwell. And the more I thought about it, the more unwell I became. And it was a mindset. So now I'm not on any. I prefer the look internally, zone out of everything else, and focus on healing myself.
Because
to the point of zoning in to the visualization. If something hurts, visualizing that part of me that hurts. And sometimes it's white light that I see lasering bits away or wrapping what hurts in white light to do the healing. So meditation for me.
So it tends to be your meditation and your Reiki tend to be your go-to.
My Reiki, My Reiki more so for other people than for myself. I get a benefit providing Reiki to other people. I am less, and it's not a good way to be for a Reiki healer, I'm less likely to perform Reiki on myself and use more visualization. But if you were unwell, I would be more inclined to give you Reiki.
Yeah, it's good.
Leave own pharmacist, as it were. But for you, meditation is a completely different thing. Meditation isn't just sitting quietly and introversion and focus, and it isn't about that. It's about movement.
But yeah, sometimes it can be. I've got a number of different meditations. I think I've spoken about them on here before. I've got the one where I'm walking around the field, which is it's a meditation, but it's basically daydreaming. But it's the preciseness of the focus on the question. It's that I use my meditation to kind of just hang on to a point, not to labor it or to dwell on it, but to kind of get to a point and go, right, can I deconstruct this? What can I do about it? And then work out what I can do with it. If I can change something, then great, and move forward. If I can't, then I have to just leave it and kind of move without it. That sort of logic. Or my favourite meditations are the ones when I'm in the bath or in a pond or a pool or something like that.
Near water.
Yeah.
Water's where you find your focus.
Yeah, because I like to put my head on it. I've always wanted to do one of these sensory deprivation tanks.
They're amazing.
Because I like that sense of complete silence. So head under the water.
You would love it.
Utter silence.
If anybody's done sensory deprivation, let us know in the comments. I went to do it and it was so amazing. I didn't realise how dark it was when they shut the pod. But I didn't realise how relaxed I had become until I banged my head on the side of the pod, because somehow I'd managed to turn in the pod without feeling myself move.
Ooh.
So I was lying completely flat and somehow managed to rotate in the pod, but wasn't aware that I'd done it. I was that relaxed. I found it massively healing. Massively.
But I've experimented with meditation for a bit. Like, for instance, if you want to think about something, I'm not suggesting this is a practice to anybody. This is how my brain works logically. So, for instance, if you want to think about something that is relatively harmless, like, I don't know, job hunting. So while job hunting, I'd purposely listen to heavy metal, mosh metal music, fairly loud on headphones, to create that kind of blocking everything else out. I was part of the kids that weren't allowed to use headphones at school, but it was only about 2 years later that kids were allowed to put headphones on at school to drown out the rest of the class, because that would have helped me no end. Sorry, there you go, a little tangent we're off on there.
It's interesting because I had that conversation last week with somebody that I work with about how we use music differently. So at work, I sit playing my Reiki music in my office, and then people come in and they either like it or they don't, but it's not for them, it's for me. But I like the calmer, more meditative music, and I find that really helpful for getting me to focus, because that's what works for me. But when you need to focus like that and come out of yourself, you use quite deep, heavy, loud,
it tends to be
movement-filled music.
There's a lot of drums, a lot of bass.
And gentle, and I am really productive when I have that.
Yeah, mine sounds like a load of heathens marching across a field.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always. But no, that's exactly what Chris has just put on there. Listening to music is his meditation, and that, to an extent, is
anything that takes you out of yourself, because we get so focused on everything that's going around us and everything that's going on with us, and our senses become overwhelmed, our psyche becomes overwhelmed. That physically affects us. We can become overloaded, overstimulated, and then become physically unwell because of that. So anything that takes you out of yourself and gives you a different focus, absolutely, I find that hugely healing. What were you thinking then?
No, I was just thinking sort of the meditation side of things. I mean, that tends to be the one that I rely on the most, because I think I've got quite a lot of headspace. I've spent a lot of time in my own head.
It's scary in there.
It's quite a big place, so you can kind of get lost in there for a little bit.
Roomy.
It's the kind of thing, you know, when you're tidying up as a kid and you'd find a toy you hadn't found for ages and you get distracted completely and you end up playing with that toy and don't end up tidying up. That's what my inside my brain is like.
You do that now. You
I'm
go through boxes and find things, and
then I go, oh, I forgot I had that, and then I go off and just play with that and completely forget what I was doing in the first place. Yeah.
But with traditional meditation, we have the meditation teepee in the garden, which I haven't used anywhere near as much as I should. But you can feel the energy change within there. When you sit in there, when you focus on the ground underneath you and the air around you. And actually, one of the grandchildren, who's quite a bouncy, boisterous person, it was a couple of years ago now, I found that if I could grab that person and sit them on my lap within that space, they just sat. And it just slowed everything down for them. Do you know which one? The really zippy one.
Yeah, I know which one you mean.
The really zippy loud one. And it was great. But there was definitely something going on within there, because the dogs wouldn't go in.
No, Ned wouldn't go through it at first, neither would Faze. No, that's a good point.
They were quite freaked out by it.
Yeah.
And would only go around the edge.
I do those kind of meditations, though. The ones where you focus on your breathing. And like you said, you listen out and you're sitting outside and you just sort of pick out as much noise as you can. The outward focus to the inward focus.
Yeah. And I do it with some of my doula clients too. The calm down, purely focus on your breathing and your visualizing, and it works.
Okay then.
Oh Lord, where's that going now?
So let's have a think. So it's different kinds of healing. So we'll go with the next one that's on my so crystal healing.
Okay.
I personally don't know a great deal about this. I like crystals. I'm drawn to crystals, and I faff around with crystals all the time. But I don't think I use them for healing as such. But I have used them in the past for getting rid of negative energy.
Okay. We do have numerous crystals throughout the house.
We do.
And we do have, is that from the living room?
Yeah, that's off my altar.
So, oh no, it's not the one that I thought then. So we do have these in random places near technology.
Yeah, there's one like that in front of the TV.
Which needs cleansing, really.
Yes.
And then putting back to absorb the negative energy that comes from them. But for using them for healing, I know that quite a lot of people use them in Reiki healing. I've never felt an affinity towards crystals. It's not that I don't feel comfortable with them. I just don't feel drawn to use them.
Oh, I do. I think it stems from when I was a kid, though. I was that kid that would take
shiny things.
Yeah, I would pick up the weird, like if there was a cool stone on the beach when I was a kid, I've taken that home. I've stolen so many stones off the beach from being a kid. So no, I think I've always had that fascination with stones, and crystals.
Yeah, they're not. They. I don't use them for healing at all, or meditation. But you've used them. You've used a crystal grid to meditate.
Yeah, I've used crystals with my tarot readings to help clear and keep the energy focused.
Yeah, they don't work for me. But if they work for you, let us know.
Yeah, I've always mucked about with crystals to an extent. I like crystals. Send me crystals. Sorry. Reiki we've spoken about. So what about medicines then? So from a herbal point of view.
Okay.
So herbal teas. So for me, as a person that suffers from diverticular disease or whatever it's called, you do, there's a tea you do, like a ginger and...
Ginger tea.
Yeah. So you make me a ginger tea that helps my tummy.
Or a mint, because we've got mint in the garden. I've done mint tea too. That's very good. But they don't work the same on everybody.
No, and that was something I was going to mention earlier, actually. When it comes to healing,
Yeah.
there's always somebody with a really good idea for something, isn't there?
Yeah.
I've got a headache. What if you tried 2 of these? Take 2 of them, try that, try this, try this. Oh, when my head's bad, I take this. Everybody's got their own snake oil.
No, do you know the first thing I say? Have you had a drink of water?
Well, yeah.
Are you dehydrated? Natural healing.
Yeah.
What does your body need? What does it crave?
Doesn't need coffee.
So I do have a couple of books. This one, I think, is probably quite old. This is the Reader's Digest, Foods That Harm and Foods That Heal. So
You haven't seen last week's video yet.
aggressive.
See what happens when I do that.
Oh my Lord.
Has anybody else watched last week's video? With all the
Anyway,
funky
no, I haven't
edits?
watched it back. I've been...
Our new friends are on there.
We'll watch it. Right. And the other one is the Neil's Yard Healing Foods. And I do have 2 extremely hefty folders over there
Yes, you do.
on herbology. And it is about using what is natural to treat what is natural, which is your body.
Isn't that what medicine is anyway?
And not relying on chemicals, which are the core. They're not real, they're synthetic. Because there's no money to be made from nature in medicines. Not as much as there is in chemical pharmacology.
Oh, no, of course not.
Absolutely. So let's dismiss the natural remedies and the natural ways, much like some medical staff who assist with births.
Oh, down now, don't jump on that one.
Are against those of us that use more natural techniques to help people stay calm rather than synthetic chemicals. Helping the body to manage its own discomfort and recovery.
Oh, no, I agree. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm with you, so I know all this sort of stuff. And I don't like to take paracetamol. I don't know what you guys are like out there. I don't the doctors, they always just tell you how to mask I've forgotten the word. My brain's forgotten what the word is. When you take a painkiller, it's
the analgesia.
No, not the side effect.
They treat the symptoms.
Symptoms. My brain, I could not get the word symptom in my brain.
Treating the symptom, not the disease.
Yeah, if I've got a headache, if you take a painkiller, I'm killing the pain of the headache. But technically, there is still a problem in my head because it's still there, but I've blocked the signal of the headache.
I agree. And I was heavily medicated for 6 years. And then when I was able to step away from the real world and reevaluate, then I was more inclined to give away that stuff and not engage with that at all and focus more on how to maintain myself and heal myself and disengage from that. And now I'm the same. I do have a box of paracetamol in my drawer at work, but they'll remain there and they will be an act of desperation. I'm still disinclined. The other day I said to you I didn't feel very well and you said, well, are you going to take something? No. No.
We both say that to each other. What do you need to take? Yeah. I don't know. Probably an anti-inflammatory. Were you going to? Probably not.
No.
And that's the thing. And that's always the bugbear I have a lot of times with doctors is because they are just treating symptoms. And we've both worked in care. And anybody out there who's worked in care, you've seen old people get prescribed one drug for something, then there's a side effect to that. So they have to take another one for the side effect. and then another one for the side effect of that. And because those three now bung them up, they need to take another medication to sort
But
that
that one's
out.
made them too loose, so they take another
Exactly.
one to counterbalance.
And I can remember my grandma, she used to say, I rattle in the morning.
I'm not dismissing medication.
No, I'm not at all.
Not at all. If people are on medication, and some people need something to manage chemical imbalances within their bodies. There are mood disorders that medication is very useful for.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm kind of having a dig at the medication, not the reason for the medication. The kind of just get your shit together. Stop that medication causing that side effect, cause that side effect.
Look deeper than
just
get my book and
rather than just I just want to treat that symptom, but fuck all the rest. We'll cause some more. Do you know what I mean? Kind of sort of think a bit more logically. And
it's unfortunate that we're in a time where we don't have the luxury of gentle healing and allowing that to happen, the trial and error of the natural methods.
Well, that was the first thing I put on top of my list, wasn't it?
Doesn't allow us to do that. We have to be up, we have to be fit, we have to get to work, we have to function 100% all the time. How many people out there are not functioning? They think they are 100%, but actually they're so medicated that they don't realise that what life would be like if they didn't have all of that chugging through their system.
Well, that was the thing I put on the top of the list because we were talking about healing was rest.
Absolutely.
And that, like you just said there, that's the one thing. It's such an expensive resource now.
It helps when you're not woken in the middle of the night by a zombie grabbing your head.
But I didn't know. It's not my fault you're having a weird dream. I'm getting back into bed. And then you all of a sudden decide to sit up. I don't know why you decided to bring that up as a tangent.
No, because that's the importance of rest.
But basically, yeah, I scared the crap out of Penny last night while she was asleep. Made a jump.
In the middle of a quite... No, it wasn't in the middle. It was the start of a quite disturbing,
weird dream,
dark dream that I never went back into. But I suddenly felt this hand come over the headboard and grab the top of my
head. The headboard.
That's what my brain said it was. Right. I just felt the sensation of a hand over the top of my head and freaked out. Anyway, so moving away from the weirdness.
Next time I'll use a pillow.
It is a huge thing. And
it is.
Valuable rest, because I struggle with that because I'm an insomniac.
Resting is repairing, you said.
It is. I say that a lot.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean
resting is repairing.
I don't necessarily listen to that myself.
No, but that's the thing. I mean, you see the adverts just for like paracetamol kind of programs. It's the busy mum. She's got to take the kids to the dancing school, then get dad off to this thing, and then something else. She comes in, drops her keys in the bowl, takes 2 of these tablets, and off she goes again.
Oh, it's her time.
We haven't got time to stop.
Time of the month. She needs to take these tablets instead.
You guys do more when it's the time of the month than any other time. You go ice skating, roller skating.
I know, yeah, it's absolutely. It's our busy time. It's the only time we swim, apparently.
Tangent. Okay, so another form of healing I've got written down here is massage.
Yeah.
Now, I like a good massage.
Okay.
I don't know why I said good. I like a massage. I like a good massage. I don't like a shit massage. You know. That's what I do mean, a good massage.
It's like we were talking about last week. It's knowing, managing your expectations. Do you know what's going to happen when you go for that treatment? If you are aware of this is what's going to happen, you're going to go into the room, you're going to get undressed, you put yourself under a towel, and you know all of that in advance, you engage with the treatment really quick.
Unless
and you
it's
get a really good long benefit out of it, the full treatment time, because you're aware of what's going to happen. If you've never been for one, the first half of that you're going, which bits of me are they going to touch? What are they thinking? Are they going ugh every time they do the massage? Are they just in their head going, this is disgusting, this person's foul? And that becomes your focus, and you don't get the benefit of the treatment.
Yeah, I agree. I was going to say, I think my first ever deep tissue, like sports massage I ever had, was the best massage I ever had, because you never get the same thing twice. Because once you've had a sports deep tissue massage, you realize it feels kind of nice. It's a bit painful in moments, but the next fucking day, holy shit, you can't move. You ache, you're sore. So it's always that first one. Now you know about it, you just don't go back for a sports massage. You just go for a gentle massage after that.
See, now look at the balance between that and a Reiki treatment. So a Reiki treatment, potentially, there is no physical contact. But the next day you can feel drained, achy, exhausted. You don't always feel revitalized because somebody has been messing in your auric field.
Yep.
So in traditional massage, where you are physically manipulating people's muscles, how do you feel the same draining effect from both of those? One person is not touching you at all, and one person is intensely touching you. Well, then, why do you feel the same exhaustion and ache?
Partly, I would say the toxins, but on a deep tissue massage compared to Reiki, you are physically bombarding the muscle, you're ironing a muscle out. So there's a physicality there. Whereas Reiki is more of a generalized sense of self. You wouldn't get a localized sore calf muscle from a Reiki session. Well, I wouldn't have thought so. If you did, that'd be a touch odd.
No, but there are trigger points in your body that if they hurt, they represent certain things.
Yeah, it would draw you to it. But around massage as well, I'll put next to it was aromatherapy, which can I be brutally honest? And my youngest daughter might not be overly impressed with this next comment, but I don't know. I don't know if I buy into aromatherapy.
I do.
I like a good smell, and I like to sort of, the smell of lavender, and it's quite calming, and I like eucalyptus in my bath and stuff. But to sell it as an actual kind of thing.
Okay, but how does that make you feel? If you're feeling fluey and achy and unwell, and you put that eucalyptus in your bath and you lie in the bath and you're breathing that in, how do you feel at that point?
Relaxed.
So you're healing.
Yeah, no, I get the logic. Yeah.
So you can't say you don't believe in it.
No, and I've given myself an aromatherapy trigger. I was trying to narrow that word down. The same as when kids are babies, you purposely wash them in Johnson's, so you start your bedtime routine.
No, just natural baby smell.
So it was that sort of logic. You kind of create, if you always smell a particular thing at a particular time, you'll always remember to feel a particular way when you smell a particular thing. And I've
seen aromatherapy work at its strongest with somebody who was in labour.
Is it something maybe that is better for women than it is for men? Is it just something? No. Maybe it's because my sense of smell's a bit shit because my sinuses are knackered.
That's probably more likely. But there are some incenses that we use in the house. There's some that I naturally lean towards because I find
the ones I like you don't
calming. The ones that you like make me gag. I think they're really intense and spicy smelling, and they don't appeal to me at all. So you would burn them when I wasn't here, and then burn the ones that I like when I am here, in theory. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you catch me out and I walk around the house hacking like a cat with a fur ball. But yeah, no, like I was saying, with aromatherapy, I've seen that at its best during labour, and I was stunned how well that worked. And the lady had picked her particular fragrances. And common sense says at those points when all your senses are heightened, that certain smells, you don't want it as a permanent smell because it can make you feel nauseous or aggravate you. And you want to keep the mindset. So in her case, if she wanted to relax and feel calm, just opened the lavender. She had a little smell of lavender. and then put it away. If she felt under pressure, she had a smell of frankincense, and then I'll put it away. If she felt nauseous, it was lemon or peppermint, and she just had a smell of that and felt better, and then managed the rest herself. So did that help her maintain her well-being and physical discomfort? Yes, aromatherapy worked for her for that, and I've seen it work for others. But that was quite an intense labour, and it absolutely was. It astounded me how well that worked.
That's why I say I just don't know whether it's maybe something I've just never properly engaged with, kind of aromatherapy. It just kind of
using it as a means to, well, with Reiki treatments, I always like the incense. I always have generally lavender on my hands.
No, I get the logic of aroma, but to create it as its own standalone thing,
okay,
aromatherapist, I don't know.
It's about triggering your mind.
What do you guys
release
think?
Its own chemicals to help with that process.
Yeah.
So it's all about heal thyself.
Okay, what else was on the list? Oh, the other one was on that list is the one you said, which I don't know a lot about, to be honest. Reflexology.
Oh, it's if Andy's on here, I believe Andy trained in reflexology.
Is this the one to do with your feet?
This is the one to do with your feet. That each part of your foot represents
I do know a bit of that. Your big toe's your brain. If you've got a headache, they say rub your big toe. And I've done that.
So essentially your foot, pretend this is a foot, not a hand, and this is your big toe, that's the top of your head, working its way down to your feet, essentially.
Yeah, that's quite cool.
See it as your body. and that goes along with acupressure.
Acupuncture, there's another one. Why didn't nobody put that in the comments? Because there's nobody out there.
Because they've either all dozed off because they're so relaxed talking about the
It's because we sit and waffle. They can't get a word in edgeways, that's all it is.
I think it might be.
I think the most important thing with all of these sorts of things, when it comes to healing, is having your own, an understanding of your own methods of healing, how you like to heal.
Try different things. Don't be closed off to things that could potentially make a massive difference to your life.
I agree. I was thinking more along the lines of, if you're feeling ill and somebody says that this is what, you need to take this or do this, I have that sense about yourself to question it and go, do I have other options?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. And then go out and try the different options for yourself and see what works for you. Because it might be that you go for crystal healing and feel like it's the best thing you've ever had in your life. You've never felt weller.
We have got to bear in mind that we're kind of, the term healing is quite a big umbrella term. It could be something from a dislocated ankle through to cancer, through to, do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Different kinds of healing.
That's why we're looking at complementary therapies that complement other systems. They're not about just focus on this and nothing else. That's our belief, is that we don't disengage with everything else. Because if we did go down that tangent, we'd look at the religions that say you're not allowed to take any medications at all, that your body is its own temple and it is a gift from a higher power, and if you are intended to get well, then he will or she will heal you, and if you're not intended to get better, then you won't. There are religions out there that are like that, and just because they're not our belief system and we don't like them and want to engage with it, doesn't mean that they're wrong.
Oh no, I'm not saying that at all. And in the similar fact that I think having that courage of your own conviction to say no to stuff. And I don't mean in a sort of a medical sort of thing. I kind of am a little bit, touching on with the sort of COVID jabs. I understand why people don't want it. We've spoken about this before on here.
Yeah.
and I'm fine. If you don't want it, don't have it. You shouldn't be forced to have it. But if you're going to work in an industry that potentially needs it, then you need to rethink that slightly.
If you're working in an industry to help other people, then you have to be willing to make sacrifices yourself for the benefit of those people, which is what I did. I didn't have any intention at all about having the vaccinations. I felt that it was all very quick and not tested enough, and I was very uncomfortable with it. But when it came down to it, the people that I look after, I wouldn't have been able to if I didn't have them. It was a no jab, no job situation, and they were a bigger priority than I was. Hence why I did it.
No, I agree totally. We've got a comment from Marion. She's had reflexology and aromatherapy. Both have helped me.
Fabulous. Fabulous.
I don't know how I'd feel about reflexology.
You got tickly feet.
Yeah, it'd be somebody touching my feet. They'd be, 1 minute it'd be all really nice, the next minute they'd have a broken nose or a front snap kicked them by mistake because they tickled me foot. That could get a little bit iffy.
Maybe that's not the treatment line for you then. Maybe you need to look at something else.
Mary's also had crystal healing.
Marion's done exactly what we suggested, which was go out and try everything.
Yeah, take some time for yourself.
Absolutely. To keep yourself at an equilibrium that is balanced and prevents you from being unwell, or at least maintains that. If it means trying all different therapies or utilising them all, if they all work for you, yeah, why not? If you can afford it and you have the time, engage in all that lovely stuff. Will you stop playing with that now? It's like sitting with a 5-year-old.
I can't help it.
I nearly bought you one of them fidget push things today. The popper ones that we saw the other day.
I don't want an autistic child's toy. Thank you very much. It did entertain me for quite a while, admittedly.
Stop behaving like an autistic child.
I need a new fidget spinner is what I need.
Oh, okay.
I broke the last one.
So anyway, did we have anything else on our list?
No, I kind of wrote that. I wanted to cover the topic quite...
Oh, I know a meditation one that's just popped into my head. And this is part of it.
Well, you're gonna make the microphone go funny now.
I'm not. I'm going to sit back a little bit because it will be quite loud, I imagine, through there. So bear with. Need to get the balance. Bear with.
Is this where you're trying to pick that tone out? Because you've got different resonances.
Yeah, but one that I'm very interested in at the moment, which is quite a expensive one, is crystal bowls, where they're very big versions of this singing bowl, and they all have different tones and pitches. Got no sound. Broke it.
It's a mute bowl now. We have a comment from Tom, who's just joined us. Sorry, missed the first half. Apparently mint tea was mentioned. It was mentioned. I take mint tablets and they changed my life, life-changing. Mint tea's for, yes, to help my stomach when it gets a bit much, because I've got diverticular disease, or whatever the hell you call it. Acid?
I knew you were going to do it. That's why I fed you that little line. I can't think. Digestion, I said nausea. Massively good for nausea.
Yeah.
Yeah, having mint is very good for settling nausea. It's also used a lot in a pregnancy for heartburn.
What, the tea? Mint tea?
Peppermint cordial, which is really hard to buy now. And the only place you can get it is the chemist. They stopped selling it in ordinary shops years ago.
Doesn't sound very nice.
It is a particular taste. But it is
mouthwash
really,
and
really
Wrigley's.
good. Have a little bit.
Marion's just she'd like to learn more about the brain can block out pain. That is something I've toyed with that, and I've tried that and experimented with that, and I hadn't got the balls to do it. It's the experiment that you see Darren Brown do, where he's got somebody else's hand and the hand of a mannequin, and you replace the hand of the mannequin is what you stick the pin in, but the person thinks it's theirs, and they react that way.
I'd be interested to do some work with people around that, maybe setting up some sessions, because the blocking out of pain is what I work with the doulering, the managing natural labours, about engaging with the sensation rather than identifying it as pain, engaging it as a sensation and what is happening from that sensation, and then managing your thought process and your breathing to flow with that, and then visualizing.
Yes, extremely difficult.
It's actually not.
It is, because I tried it. I had a tattoo on my chest and tried it.
We are taught pain from the beginning of our life, throughout our life. We are taught pain and fear. Most other animals and mammals don't go through life with that thought in their mind. It is a natural reaction. Adrenaline is a natural reaction, and how you respond with that. But we are programmed to expect pain and to fear it, and not to see it as something productive. It's something that keeps us safe. It's something that keeps us alive.
So it's a negative as opposed to just a message.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're taught that.
It's not easy to do though. But like I said, I have tried to do it in having tattoos. I don't know. I've got a lot of tattoos, but I hate them. I hate having tattoos.
I gave you Reiki during a tattoo.
Yeah, I moan.
I'm not sure what the people in the tattoo parlour thought at all.
It helped. But no, I've tried that where I've got myself into a meditation state and tried to exit my body so that the pain is there, but it's not painful, and trying to deconstruct what pain as a sensation is.
The difference for me was I didn't find it painful at all.
You're talking about the actual tattoo.
Yeah, I found it really enjoyable because I engaged with it, but it was the vibration, because at the time, and I don't get it to the same degree now, I felt a natural vibration of my own body, and the tattooing happened to resonate at the same thing and made it quite a pleasurable sensation for me, which was a bit weird.
Some tattoos I've had were all right, but so healing and meditation. Predominantly what I kind of wanted tonight to focus on was that we have our own ability to kind of heal ourselves. We have the ability to piss ourselves off, so we must have the ability to cheer ourselves up and make ourselves better.
And it is around focus. If you focus purely on the negative aspects of what you're experiencing, whether that's physical or mental or environmental, if you only focus on the negative aspect of that, then your experience will become a negative one, rather than one that you can use for a benefit to learn from.
Yeah.
Or learn to adapt to.
I just think
it doesn't affect you the same way the second time around.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I get that. I can't remember what I was going to say now. I was going to say something and I forgot.
Meditation.
No, I was going to say we're 55 minutes in now, so we're kind of at the end. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. I didn't want this to be too kind of heavy as we're both Reiki masters and this is what you have to do. You got to do, and that's just, I didn't want it to feel like that at all. I kind of wanted it to be a case of.
Yeah, I mean, if people want to talk to us about Reiki treatments or come to us for Reiki treatments,
by all means,
they absolutely can. Or to somebody else, whatever works. we don't need to give an in-depth discussion on it necessarily.
No, but there's so many different varieties now of healing. And I think that's because there's so many different kinds of people.
Hands-on healing has been around for hundreds of thousands of years.
Well, yes,
There have
days of
always
snake oil.
been healers.
Mm.
No, and there has always been con men that go alongside.
We've got 2 thumbs up.
Healers.
Yeah, thanks, folks.
There's always been somebody that's willing to take advantage of people for their own benefit, profiteers.
Yes.
But actual healing, and it's traditional healing in other countries, is still part of day-to-day life. And part of belief systems.
But that's what I say earlier. I think a lot of healing, or a lot of the processes to do with healing, fall into social constructs, the way that we're expected to overcome an illness in this country. Sort of, we can self-cert for 7 days, and then you've got to we have a process for being ill, but we don't have the same kind of, employers don't have a recovery process for an employee unless there's something really bad has happened. But they do have a sickness process.
Well, yeah, there kind of is, though. Most large organisations can access counsellors and alternative therapies.
Oh, yeah,
Whether they choose to do that to maintain people, as opposed to.
No, but what I mean is,
sign you off for 7 days. Yeah, absolutely. It's really easy to go, do you know what? I do need to rest. I do need a break from life. I will absolutely take that certificate.
Absolutely. That time's flown by.
Yes, I'm amazed.
And you were worried we weren't going to talk about anything.
I wasn't worried. I just knew that there wasn't a lot, technically, that we had to share with people, but an overview for healing and meditative practice. It's actually quite a lot. But
it is such a personal thing.
And part of the herbal side of it, which we haven't touched on, and maybe we won't touch on today, is to look at the properties of cannabinoids.
We're not talking about cannabinoids, not on this.
I'm just saying, it's out there. It is a natural product.
There is, and
that has massive benefits to people's physical conditions, and as well as to their neurological and psychological conditions as well. It has huge physical benefits as well. But
I absolutely agree.
Get into that.
But until this country stops revolving around the archaic times of the religion of the royals and actually moves into the 21st century and starts studying cannabis like America has and like Amsterdam has, to actually work out exactly how all those cannabinoids work, it'll just be regarded as a drug for fucking smart potheads. It's just not taken seriously.
Yeah, it's just a fun word to say, cannabinoid.
I mean, think about it. It's like, what the poppy?
Yeah.
What a versatile plant that is.
And foxgloves.
So anyway.
Out there is nature's medicine box.
It is. Marion says, thank you very much. Found it very interesting. An experience personally with different types of healing. I think it's important to experiment with different kinds of healing.
It is, because one day you could try a method of healing, or try and find different ways of meditating, not sitting with the theory, and find what works for you. Sit in a river, sit by a river, or sit by a busy road if you like the chaos and the noise and that takes you out of yourself. Find your way to meditate that works for you. Heal yourself.
But thanks for joining us, guys.
Thanks.
We'll be here next week. What do we want to talk about next week?
Oh, I don't know. Spring it on me the day before.
I'll just make it up like I do normally. Right, guys. Thank you.
No. Next week we're going somewhere.
Oh, yeah. Actually, we are.
It's a secret.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I hope next week's better than the last week and all.
Yeah.
Right, guys, we're going.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you next Sunday. Bye.